Hmong language is beautiful. I love it. I remember before my mission when I got called Hmong speaking, I was like, okay, I gotta get in this right now. Like, I think it's gonna be super cool because I had a fascination with languages. And so I tried to learn it before I went into the MTC. I tried to take a bunch of it, but when I got into the MTC, I was just like, man, I was teaching myself wrong. Hmong is a tonal language. It's got the most tones that I know out of it of any Asian language. Like Mandarin Chinese, they have 5 or so tones. Cantonese has about 6 or so tones, but Hmong has like 8. And so you can say a word 8 different times, or like 8 different ways, and it would mean a different word each time. And so it was a lot of fun making mistakes at first. Because I remember one time in the MTC, I was talking about the first vision. And I accidentally, like, to say to come is to, and it's like a high falling tone. But the word to, which is just a flat tone, means to kill. And so it's like, it's pretty close. And so I remember in the MTC, I said that Jesus Christ and God shot Joseph Smith instead of like came to him. And so it was a pretty interesting experience with that. Hmong, it's not related to Chinese at all. I mean, they're in 2 different language families. But Hmong does borrow a lot of like Chinese words. Like the word in Chinese, 朋友, means friend, but in Hmong it's 朋友. And so it's very, very similar in a way. Hmong, the language borrows a lot of other words too from other languages as well. Besides Chinese, they borrow a lot of words from Lao, a lot of words from Thai, some from Vietnamese. You don't really hear about them very often, but there's some. And so it's really interesting because when you start learning all those words and everything, you get bits and pieces of every other language that they're around. You learn a little bit of Chinese, you learn a little bit of Thai, a little bit of Lao and stuff like that. And so it's pretty fun. Really fun language. It's challenging. It is pretty challenging to learn. It took me about a year to be really confident with when I was like speaking with people. By a year or so, I was pretty much understanding everything that people would say. Every now and then I would get a little lost, but I pretty much knew what people were talking about. I think something that should calm like a future missionary's nerve if they're watching this is tones aren't that bad. Tones really are not that bad. Some like Americans, because English doesn't have tones, well, like we do, but people don't really realize that. But tones weren't that difficult. You learn them in the MTC, and by the end of 2 weeks, you're good. So tones aren't something to be worried about. Hmong grammar is super, super easy. It's really simple. It's almost just like English grammar. It's like subject, verb, object, and stuff like that. And so it's like you don't have very much trouble forming sentences because you already can. Like in English, like you already know the sentence structure and everything like that. But there's every now and then you'll get some weird grammar principle that kind of throws the sentence structure around. But for the most part, it's a really simple language. But it does take a while to learn, definitely.